Have you ever wondered how your body responds to stimuli so quickly? The credit goes to our central nervous system. This intricate network, composed of the brain and spinal cord, is responsible for processing and interpreting the vast amount of information our bodies receive every second. Imagine the brain as a supercomputer, continuously analyzing and making sense of data. Meanwhile, the spinal cord serves as a relay station, transmitting signals from the brain to our muscles, organs, and glands. Together, they form the central nervous system, a critical component of our body's communication system. It's much like the conductor of an orchestra, coordinating the symphony of bodily functions that allow us to move, think, feel, and simply exist. So next time you instinctively react to a hot stove or recall a fond memory, remember, it's your central nervous system hard at work. In essence, the central nervous system is like the command center of our body. Now that we've established the importance of the central nervous system, let's delve deeper into its organization. The central nervous system, or CNS, is like the command center of your body. It's composed of two main parts, the brain and the spinal cord. Each plays a critical role in how we perceive and interact with the world around us. Think of the brain as the supreme commander. It's a complex organ with billions of neurons, and it's where all the magic happens. It's responsible for controlling and coordinating actions and interactions with the environment. It processes a staggering amount of information every second, managing everything from problem solving and decision-making to motor control and sensory processing. Now, the spinal cord might seem like the brain's sidekick, but it's a powerhouse in its own right. Acting as a conduit, it connects the brain to the rest of the body. It carries signals to and from the brain, allowing for communication between the brain and the peripheral nervous system. The spinal cord is also responsible for reflex actions, those rapid responses to potential harm that happen before the brain even gets the memo. These two components of the CNS, the brain and spinal cord, work together like a well-rehearsed orchestra. They communicate constantly, exchanging a continuous stream of information. This communication happens through a network of nerves that extend from the CNS to every corner of our body. Each nerve is like a telephone line, transmitting messages in the form of electrical signals. These signals are sent from the brain, down the spinal cord, and out to the body, instructing muscles to contract or relax. Similarly, sensory information from the body travels up the spinal cord to the brain, where it's processed and interpreted. By working in perfect harmony, the brain and spinal cord ensure that we can think, feel, move, and even dream. They help us navigate the world, react to our environment, and connect with others. Understanding the organization of the CNS allows us to appreciate the complexity of our body's communication system. The interplay between the brain and spinal cord, their intricate communication, and their ability to process and respond to countless information underscore the marvel that is the human body. So, what exactly does our nervous system do? You might be surprised by the complexity and versatility of this intricate network. It's not just about responding to pain or triggering movement. It's about orchestrating a symphony of interactions that make up our experience of the world. Let's dive into the three main functions of the nervous system: sensory input, integration of data, and motor output. First up, sensory input. This is all about gathering information from the environment, both within and outside our bodies. Think about the moment you touch a hot surface. Almost instantly, you feel the sting of heat. That's your sensory neurons at work, picking up the change in temperature and sending that information up to your brain. Now, what happens once this information reaches the brain? That brings us to our second function, integration of data. This is where the magic happens. The brain processes the sensory input, makes sense of it, and decides on an appropriate response. In our hot surface example, your brain quickly interprets that hot means danger, and a response is needed, which leads us to our third function, motor output. This is the action phase where the nervous system responds to the sensory input. In response to the hot surface, your brain sends a message via motor neurons to your hand muscles, instructing them to pull away. And voila, you've avoided a potential burn. But it doesn't stop at avoiding danger. The nervous system also helps us enjoy life's pleasures. The sensory input of the aroma of fresh coffee, the brain's integration recognizing it as a pleasant smell, and the motor output of reaching for a cup. All these functions work together to create our morning coffee ritual. From feeling the warmth of a cup of coffee to reacting to a sudden loud noise, our nervous system is constantly at work. It's a ceaseless dance of input, integration, and output that shapes our interaction with the world around us. It's our body's very own supercomputer, tirelessly working to keep us safe, thriving, and experiencing life in all its complexity. What enables the nervous system to perform its functions? The answer lies in neurotransmitters. Now let's dive into the world of these tiny yet powerful molecules. Neurotransmitters are the body's chemical messengers. They are the molecules used by the nervous system to transmit messages between neurons or from neurons to muscles. They are crucial in the overall functioning of the body, playing a significant role in everyday activities, from breathing to thinking to beating of our hearts. Think of neurotransmitters as the postman of your nervous system. They pick up, carry, and deliver information within your brain and body, making sure the messages get to where they need to go. Now let's talk about some common neurotransmitters you might have heard of. First up, dopamine, often known as the feel-good neurotransmitter. Dopamine is associated with feelings of pleasure and reward. It motivates us to take action towards goals, desires, and needs, and gives a surge of reinforcement when we achieve them. It's like the cheerleader in your brain, always encouraging you to go for that win. Next, we have serotonin, another superstar neurotransmitter. It's often called the mood stabilizer. It helps with sleeping, eating, and digestion. But more importantly, it contributes to our feelings of well-being and happiness. It's like that comforting cup of hot cocoa on a cold day, making everything feel just right. These neurotransmitters, along with many others, help keep our bodies functioning smoothly. They are the unsung heroes of our nervous system, working behind the scenes to ensure we can think, feel, move, and even dream. So the next time you're enjoying a good meal, or feeling the rush of excitement from accomplishing a goal, or simply basking in a moment of happiness, remember the role neurotransmitters play in these experiences. They are the silent orchestrators of our bodily symphony, making sure every note plays out just right. Without neurotransmitters, our nervous system wouldn't be able to function. So let's take a moment to appreciate these tiny yet mighty molecules that keep us going every single day. Now, let's dive into the processes that make all of this possible: neuroconduction and neurotransmission. Think of neuroconduction as a game of telephone where the message, in this case an electrical impulse, is passed from one end of the neuron to the other. It all starts with a stimulus, something that triggers the neuron. This stimulus changes the electrical charge inside the neuron, creating what we call an action potential. The action potential is like a wave. It travels down the neuron, from the cell body, along the axon, and finally to the axon terminals. But that's only half the story. Once the action potential reaches the end of one neuron, it needs to get to the next one. This is where neurotransmission comes in. You see, neurons don't actually touch each other. Instead, they're separated by a tiny gap called the synaptic cleft. So, how does the message cross this gap? It's like sending a letter. When the action potential reaches the end of the neuron, it triggers the release of chemical messengers, known as neurotransmitters, from small sacs in the axon terminals. These neurotransmitters cross the synaptic cleft and bind to specific receptors on the next neuron. This binding causes channels to open on the next neuron, allowing ions to flow in and changing the electrical charge inside it. This change triggers a new action potential in the second neuron, and the message continues on its way. These processes, neuroconduction and neurotransmission, happen in a fraction of a second, thousands of times every minute. They're the reason you can feel the warmth of a cup of coffee, hear the sound of a bird chirping, or remember the lyrics to your favorite song. So next time you're marveling at the beauty of a sunset or enjoying the taste of your favorite meal, remember the intricate dance of neuroconduction and neurotransmission that's happening behind the scenes, enabling you to experience the world around you. These processes are at the heart of how our nervous system operates. So, we've covered a lot of ground today. Let's quickly recap. We began by exploring the organization of the central nervous system, comprising the brain and spinal cord, serving as the main processing center for the entire nervous system. Then, we delved into the myriad functions of the nervous system, highlighting its role in coordinating our body's response to changes in our internal and external environments. We also dived into the fascinating world of neurotransmitters, these chemical messengers that play a pivotal role in transmitting signals across the neural network. Finally, we looked at the intricate processes of neuroconduction and neurotransmission, which allow our brain to communicate with the rest of our body, enabling us to think, feel, move, and much more. Understanding the central nervous system is crucial not just for medical students, but for anyone curious about how our bodies work. Subscribe for more mind-blowing content.